he went there. He went there all right. Reggie Miller went to Instagram and gave us the truth and nothing but the truth, which is something I respect about him. So this is what he said about Michael Jordan. No lies told. We had a prickly relationship, respected the hell out of MJ, but also couldn't stand him. The reason I say that, wanted to beat him and his Bulls so badly. Only won a few battles, but he eventually won all the wars. Dude said he couldn't stand MJ. Those are some strong words, but make no mistake about it. This is the ultimate sign of respect. If you know anything about MJ, you know he doesn't respect just anyone, as a basketball player, of course. But those who were just as competitive as he was, that wasn't scared of the moment, you had this man's respect. And those are all characteristics of the great Reggie Miller. He said they had a prickly relationship. The reason he said that is because Reggie would go after MJ, which is something players avoided doing. During this time, it was an unwritten rule that you don't go after Michael. You don't get him going, because he'd go from the GOAT to this monster of a GOAT. It was over once he went to that mode. But Reggie didn't care. He wanted that challenge. He wanted that competition. So he went after him. The one battle that comes to mind is the infamous fight that they had in 1993. Have you ever seen Jordan this mad on the basketball court? Is it any surprise that he said this about Reggie? I don't really dislike anybody in the league, but playing Reggie Miller drives me nuts. He just has this superpower of being able to get under your skin. Speaking of which, do you remember another fight, but that Kobe Bryant had with Reggie Miller? This was back in 2002. At the end of the game, he gets into a fight with him, and for whatever reason, he wouldn't let him go. When have you seen Kobe that mad ever on the court? If Reggie was able to do that against those two players, imagine what he would do in this marshmallow of an era. But the real reason that he couldn't stand his airness was because of how badly he wanted to beat him. He admitted that he only won a few battles, and his memory serves him right. A few months ago, I made this video where I went through Michael Jordan's record against all the top 75 players he played against. His head-to-head battle with Reggie was a bit lopsided. He went 32-17 against him and averaged nearly 10.5 more points. I can see why that would drive someone as competitive as Reggie was crazy. Those were all battles, but the war that he was speaking of was the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals. How did Reggie perform in that series? Well, in Game 3, he suffered a sprained ankle in the third quarter. He sucked up the pain and scored 13 points in the final 4.5 minutes of the game. In Game 4, he admitted to reporters that he shouldn't have been playing. He was hurting, but he makes a game-winning three after pushing Jordan out of the way. If it wasn't for him, the Pacers could have gone swept. Instead, they pushed the Bulls to a 7th game, something that only happened twice during their 6 title runs. They gave the Bulls so much trouble that Jordan admitted this about the Pacers in the Last Dance documentary. If I had to pick a team that gave us the toughest time in the East, Indiana was probably the toughest outside the Pistons. Again, he had Jordan's respect. And if you think about it, Reggie Miller was nowhere near the player that Michael was. And those Indiana Pacers teams weren't stacked with talent. But it was the intangibles that Reggie Miller possessed that made it a close battle every time they faced each other, which speaks to the greatness of Reggie Miller. And it was something that even the GOAT had to recognize.